Hi, everyone. Somebody asked me a question recently, and I thought to answer it here. So the question was like, what activities in life are pro-life, are bringing more life, more aliveness? What activities in life are good? So somebody asked me that, and yeah, that's a general question, yet a very important question. And unfortunately, the way society is set up in most of the Western world, civilized world, and how our upbringing was set up, influenced by this conditioning, is that most of us have not been taught what are those activities or those ways of being that are pro-life. And what I mean by pro-life is that they are pro inner peace, pro fulfillment. They are bringing us closer to our fullest potential, to being happy in the present moment, even if there's stressful things happening in the world or in our life somehow. Things that are conducive to inner harmony, inner peace. And so, here we go. Well, I would say that in my experience, one thing that was very impactful in a positive way was to have a job, have a career or job that is aligned with your deepest passion, with what your heart desires. To have a job, something where you go every day, which takes hours a day, every day. We live in a world where we need to have a job, to have money, to pay our bills. So it makes a big difference to have a job that I don't like, that takes a lot of my time, and then I feel I'm drowning, I'm resenting it, and it's a recipe for misery. This being said, we all of us sometimes have to take whatever job in order to support ourselves or our family. So that's totally okay to have that. But it's good to kind of not give up on this finding something like potentially a vocation. A vocation is something like a job or an activity that we would engage in, even if we were not paid. I would do that because I love it, because it's meaningful to me. Yeah, many of us have some gift, some talent, some tendency, something we are good at that we might have forgotten or might have been conditioned out of us, and that creates a lot of suffering. So the idea is to find some inner process or work with someone, a therapist, a guide, a teacher, and to find out what you as a child really liked, and what some kind of thread of enthusiasm of something, and find a way to do whatever it takes, whatever is possible, to somehow, whatever training, whatever education, whatever you need to do in order to go towards having a job or career in that field that you like. If that were to happen, it's diminishing a lot of unnecessary suffering, a lot of wasted energy. Usually most people, they do a job they don't like, and then afterwards, when they are tired, something, we do what we love, but there's no time and there's energy, and life passes like this with resentment. So if you are a parent, in raising the child, a mistake that our current conditioning was made was that to assume that the child is stupid or the child doesn't know. So then I am kind of telling them what to do and how to be, and putting my own ideas and my own limitation and projections on them. And so kind of trying to form the child so that they are how I think is best for them. This is, I can see, comes from love and care, but this can create a lot of problems for the future adult. A better way of dealing with that as a parent is that to observe your child as they are playing and observe and see that, oh, wow, my little Jimmy is very good at this and is talented at this and he likes that. So my job as a parent is to encourage my little Jimmy to keep doing that, to go there. Hey, this is awesome, you're doing that, keep going, so to acknowledge their strength and to encourage them to keep going deeper in the direction of what they want. Even like the role of a parent to watch like a hawk, to discover where is my child interest and enthusiasm and nourish that. That will be easier for the child later to kind of allow his own passion and pursue that. The mistake in our society is that we are conditioned to not make mistakes, and to, it's better to be a doctor or be like this somehow. Artist is bad, painter is bad, whatever is bad. So yeah, we've been, the obstacle to this recipe for less misery is that we've been conditioned to disregard our deepest interest and our enthusiasm, and to do what we were taught how to be, which is not our true authentic nature. And also another condition is that we need to be perfect. I need to be perfect, not make mistakes, and follow that. So long story short, to somehow do the best you can to discover what's some of your deepest interests and passions, and somehow arrange your job or career more aligned with that. There will be much more, less resentment and more fulfillment and satisfaction. Also, very likely what we are good at and what we like deeply, we are very likely that we are good at that. And also we can develop a lot in that area. And very likely this is what we are meant to be, our dharma. My understanding is that every human is an expression of one energy. Every human is an expression of the divine. So there is some gift and talent, that can be buried. So to kind of discover that. Along these lines, something pro-life, to really pay attention to, even if, let's say, one cannot align the job like that, to still tune into the deepest desire of the heart, into the child's enthusiasm, and see what we want. Some people like to work, to have a garden, to work in the mud. Some people like to do various things. Somehow to allow ourselves to do that, as opposed to denying ourselves that. Because when we deny our deepest passions, or when we abandon them, we forget them. We forget we had them. The child aspect of ourselves is like forgotten in a corner crying. And in order to have a pro-life, rich life somehow, it's important to integrate the child, innocent enthusiasm and vision with the adult. Somehow in men's work, there is this image of a good life well spent will be to have a sense of mission, let's say, and this mission is a combination of vision and action. Yeah, so they are saying there that it's within our child self, within the heart, there is the vision, the ideal vision, and for most of us it was bred out of us, so it's almost even lost. But there's a vision of the child that can be rediscovered, like, the ideal world would be, in this ideal world this will happen, and I would be contributing to this ideal world for doing this thing, being a teacher, being a therapist, being something, helping homeless, whatever that is. So that's the vision. However, the child needs the adult, the warrior, to make it happen. So the vision was to have the child self and the adult self like partners in the cockpit, in a plane, in the ship of our life. And then the child is like, oh, I like to go there. And the adult is like, okay, all right, let me see what I can do. Let's make it happen. Yeah. So in this way, the adult and the child are a team, rather than the adult is squelching, ignoring, rejecting the child. This creates a lot of mental health issues later, depression, anxiety, all kind of stuff. this topic, this question can have many, many answers. Something else which is pro-life is to self-care, which can take many forms. I mean, part of self-care is to allow oneself to have a hobby or some activity that when we engage in that, it calms my mind, it relaxes my nervous system. Yeah, we like it. We play. So to allow ourselves in our busy life and everything, no matter how stressful, if possible, to give myself the gift of having some activity that I love and do it. Some obstacle to that is that the mind may say, man, I don't have time, I have to work hard, this or that, so I'm going to push it away. But the impact of that is that then I'm stressed, I'm in a chronic state of stress. It's hard to manifest your destiny or to follow your dreams in a chronic state of stress. Chronic state of stress is fear in my body. Fear, negative scenario, I'm trying to avoid negative scenarios, I'm fear, in state of fear and anxiety. According to many teachings, manifestation teachings as well as Buddhist teachings, you know, this energy, these thoughts, these negative, fearful thoughts, fearing this or that, this, it's somehow inviting more problems, you know. So by engaging in some self-care activity, some hobby, some also something that is self-care for the body, taking care of the body, this helps a lot. Yeah, we tend to develop a bad, oppressive attitude towards our body. We don't like our body, we hate the shape of the body, or we force the body, overwork, not eat regularly, eat toxic food, stuff like that. We become disconnected from the body. And in various teachings that I resonate with, the idea is that consciousness or the soul or presence, which is hearing these words right now, true self, that is the owner and manager of the body. Yeah. So the job, our job is to be a good owner and manager. Yeah. So the body is an amazing divine tool that could do wonders if we are a good manager of it and good owner of it. Just like with a car. I mean, take care of the car, take it to a dealership, clean it, wash it, love it, appreciate it. So bodily self-care practices, whatever. I'm going to hot springs. I love hot springs. Hot springs are great, hot and cold. Some people like to go to do yoga, Pilates, archery, playing music, things like that. Playing music, being nice to your body. Of course, not now to be nice to the body all the time. We can becoming lazy and complacent. Yeah, so have balance. Now, all these things that I'm saying here to do, one cannot do them if we are asleep. And unfortunately, being asleep is a natural condition of most humanity. And what I mean by sleep is that we are not really present. You know, Eckhart Tolle teachings, not really present. We are not attending to the present experience, and we are not also aware of there is this presence. And we have never been taught, who am I? We've never been taught mindfulness practices unless we are very lucky. We haven't been taught what to do with our feelings. So we are in this state of sleep, which is basically we are lost in thought, and the thoughts are not necessarily pleasant thoughts. It's a constant ruminating on past problems, future problems, trying to avoid them and to control reality. So we are always missing. We are not here, basically, and we are burdened by what's not happened, what happened before, what will happen later. So this state is very little we can do. So what is a good pro-life activity is to develop some kind of meditation, mindfulness practice. something, there are many ways to go about it, but something simple like a Zen style, Buddhist style meditation, Vipassana, where we are just taking some time during the day, 5 minutes, it's still better than nothing. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, ideally 30 minutes, where we are put aside any activities and we are just sitting comfortably and watching the breath and allowing ourselves to stay in the here and now and watching the thoughts, watching the mind, watching the tendency of the mind to check out, bring oneself back to the present, welcome my feelings. This is a whole topic in itself. I'm not going to go into it because we are so used to repressing and squelching our feelings, being afraid of our feelings, even using meditation techniques to not feel. That's not the kind of meditation I'm teaching. But my point here that we have some mindfulness presence practice every day or often. This actually is very pro-life in a way that we are, it's going to relax the nervous system, it's going to calm the mind, we are going to develop many gifts. We are tuning into our deepest power. Our deepest power is not the rational mind, is not the monkey mind trying to achieve or to attain or to get recognition. This is actually one of the least intelligent parts of us. Our deepest, most intelligent part of us, it's the soul, the presence, and we are our society that is ignored. And if we ignore our soul, we ignore what we are, the price is suffering. So, and diseases, not pro-life. Yeah. So some meditation practice. We tune in some Zen traditions, we're saying like Zazen, which is meditation, is like a toilet paper for the mind, some kind of cleansing of the mind. Skillful forms of meditation also, we learn how to be with our feelings and how to not be afraid of them and how to witness them and allow them. This is a long topic, I'm not going to it. This is very unusual, very hard. Most of us, we are avoiding feelings, afraid of feelings, repressing, suppressing, trying to get rid of feelings. And I understand why we do that, because we haven't learned how to be with feelings consciously, skillfully. So we learn in childhood different strategies to survive, and we needed those. But now as an adult, we can feel many things. We can feel it and it's all going to kill us. We are going to survive. However, we still have in us the habits of resisting feeling and resisting what's happening here. So working with someone or learning ways to allow feelings, this is gradual because it can be overwhelming. But what happens, why I'm mentioning this is that if I am squelching my feelings, trying to get rid of them, then I am squelching my authenticity, my inner being. This can later go into autoimmune disease, disorders, and all kind of diagnoses just because I'm squelching my life. And sooner or later, it's going to show up in the physical body, mental health issues. So develop a consciousness practice, mindfulness practice. This will be big difference in one's life. And without this, it's very hard to do inner work. I mean, being asleep and identify each thought, it's impossible to free oneself from traumas. It's impossible to free oneself from patterns developed in childhood that create suffering. Let's see something else I can say here. I mean, one can go in many directions with this question. It's general yet very good. Yeah. All right. Allowing ourselves to be authentic, to be real. This is actually an art and a science. It's not so easy because many of us in childhood, in order to survive unhealthy environment or in order to adapt to certain stressful conditions, even if our parents were well-intending good parents And especially if our parents were struggling and they were not present somehow, we adapted by becoming someone else, which will show in the form of, okay, well, I shared this feeling, then there was a problem, that was not allowed. So we start to repress our feelings, our sadness, our vulnerability, our joy, our fear, our anger. Then we start to repress expressing our needs. We develop this subconscious mechanism that are very strong of not allowing oneself to speak up, not allowing myself to ask for what I need, not allowing myself to be vulnerable and real. So unfortunately for most people, and I work with people every day, nobody is really authentic and able to allow themselves to be real, including myself. It takes a long, it's a science and an art to undo this. So not being authentic, which I know it's a new agey term now, and says be authentic, but being authentic, it's actually very hard, and it means to undo all this mechanism of the things, mechanism that help us survive and help us to become what we are now. Now the same mechanism are going to kill us, make us sick, and create isolation and hiding and discontent. So just this undoing inauthenticity and developing authenticity, this is a whole subject in itself, but that will be very much pro-life. Basically, what is pro-life is to investigate and undo all that is against life. Yeah. So one thing that is very much against life is this constant inner critic. Inner critic. This was developed often. People have a strong inner critic. There's a voice in our head that talks shit about us, puts us down. What's wrong with you? Look at you, you're so stupid. You'll never amount to anything. Different various versions of that. What's wrong with you? Oh God, all of this. This is formed. This is like a continuation of some unloving parenting, or the result of very critical. Sometimes our parents could have been very well intended, and they wanted us to succeed and be strong. And so somehow they felt like it was useful to be very critical and point us any mistake and all of that. Unfortunately, this creates some sense that there's something wrong with me, I'm not good enough, there's deficiency. And the more criticism we got, even if our parents might have passed away or something, the parent is inside and is manifesting in the form of this bad parent inside of me, judging me, putting me down, criticizing me. This is actually very toxic for oneself. You can imagine if you have a little child, you have some 4-year-old or a 5-year-old, and then you speak to him like, dude, what's wrong with you? We talked about that, just knock it off. There's something wrong with you, you're bad, you're rotten. Will this help the little child? No, it will fuck him up. So the same way, although we are an adult now, there's the child archetypal energy is present within us. And this negative self-talk is very toxic to that. So this in itself, diminishing negative self-talk, is a whole topic in itself. I'm not going to go into it. I'm just outlining areas of work here for the person who asked me and other people interested. Yeah, so becoming awake to this negative voice in the head. This you can't do without some mindfulness, presence training. Usually we identify with the voice in the head, so this becomes me. So I need to be somehow more awake, more present, to become aware that, oh wow, there's this voice coming telling me all this shit. Oh wow, who is this voice? Oh, is this me? Or am I the one that is aware of this voice? So that's not me. I'm the one that's aware of this voice. So anyway, in order to do any change with the inner voice, we need to become more present, more conscious. So that's why some consciousness training is essential. Also, some of you have watched the documentary with the doctor, I forgot his name now, that was talking about the properties of water and how water is very influenced by intention and thought. And there was all this wonderful experiment I can share here very briefly. They did this experiment. They took some jars with some water, 3 jars with water and a little bit of rice seeds. And then they had for like 2 weeks, one person will come in the morning and look at one jar and will say, I love you, thank you, I love you, thank you, sending this thought or energy or feeling to the jar with rice seeds. Yeah, and the same, another person will come to the second jar and will say, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, upset with you, whatever, some negative thoughts. They will do that every day. There was a third jar where they will be left alone. Yeah, natural conditions. So after 2 weeks, they noticed scientifically that, okay, the jar that was left alone was just the normal growth cycle of the rice seed. The one that received love and gratitude, there's actually much faster and healthier and stronger development. The one that got the I hate you, it became kind of rotten and was below the regular growth. So the whole point is that our body is 80 something, 90% water. So imagine this negative voice. And many people have it from early morning, all day, hundreds, thousands of negative thoughts. I hate myself, I hate my body, look at you, you're never going to do anything. What is this? This is like poisoning our inner water, you know? And that's very much against life. After years of this, of course there will be some ailment. Of course there will be all kind of stuff happening in the body. The body and the mind are one. They are not like, okay, it's mind things and body stuff. It's all one thing. So if the mind is negative, it's going to affect the feelings, it's going to affect my relationships, it's going to affect my nervous system, it's going to affect my immune system. The immune system is very linked to the emotional system because it's all one actually. Yeah. So this negative self-talk is like, you know, the voodoo dolls that we do this to, we don't do that, but some traditions somehow seemingly to hurt someone else. We are hurting ourselves like this, doing that. We are innocent of that. It's happening unconsciously. We seemingly can't control it, but we have much more power than we think. And so working with someone, developing a meditation practice, becoming aware of this thing, finding ways to, each time a negative thought comes, catching it, not going there. Also, it's necessary not just to catch the thought and drop them, but, you know, to do some deep therapeutical subconscious work to identify those negative core beliefs, which are underneath the negative self-talk. You know, the so-called deficiency story, negative core limiting beliefs, identity, like I'm unworthy of love, there's something wrong with me, I'm bad, I'm unworthy. Anyway, all of this, what is pro-life is to find those things and to deprogram them. Because as long as those are there, then this is painful, create addiction in order to manage the pain of having these thoughts. So all right, I think I'll stop here for now. I may do some more. Good question. All right. Ciao, ciao. See you around.